Hello, welcome to Calibama Cooking with Chef Lorious. I'm excited, you guys. I'm always excited, but today we're making a Southern staple, fried green tomatoes. These are my version of everybody's favorite classic, and I can't wait to get started. Let's get cooking. Okay, so fried green tomatoes is made with a green tomato. Green tomatoes are just regular tomatoes that haven't fully ripened, but when they are green and firm like this, they are perfect for frying up. And also, if you're like me and have a sensitivity to the acid in them, green tomatoes will not give you the same trouble that you have with the red tomatoes. So green tomatoes are a girl's best friend, and anything you can deep fry, I love. So anyway, guys, first thing I'm gonna do is slice these up. I've washed this fresh green tomato. I'm gonna slice off the end, okay? And just get that little part off there, okay? So we don't want to eat that part. I'm gonna set that aside. You're gonna slice these thin. You don't want to slice them super thick because then when you cook them, they won't get soft all the way through. So you see that? Just about 1/8 of an inch. And you want to use a good tomato cutting knife. A lot of times a slicing knife may not work for these. I like to use a tomato bagel knife. These work best. Okay? This is a great snack or appetizer, or what's really good is you put these on a sandwich, you won't know what happened. All right, I'm gonna cut the last one like this. You can use your mandolin for this as well. This is already starting off as a mandolin injury prone dish. So here you go, you see these tomatoes slices? These are not super thick. They're just thick enough to hold on to, and because these are not fully ripened to be red tomatoes, you've got extra firmness in them, which will go a long way. Now, the next thing you're gonna do is we're gonna make these buttermilk fried. You can use an egg to coat your tomatoes, or you can use buttermilk. I like using buttermilk because buttermilk just adds a wonderful flavor to it, and buttermilk just says South to me. So we're gonna get ready to bread these up. What I'm gonna do is also get some peanut oil nice and warm. I'm gonna cook these in a cast iron skillet because cast iron makes the world go round. Peanut oil. Don't need a ton because we're frying these, but we're not going to dunk them. We're not baptizing these. Start our oil heating here. Okay. We're going to do the 3-station method. Okay. We're going to have a flour station, a wet station, and then a breadcrumb station. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on these tomatoes, to help them have some flavor themselves, because we don't want anything to be boring. We want none of these layers to be bland. So just put a little salt on these tomatoes, both sides. It's just gonna make them taste a little better. Okay, so now that we've salted our tomatoes, so here we've got some all-purpose flour. To this flour, you want to add a little bit of salt because you really want to have salt on all of your layers, okay? See that? Just put a little salt in there and mix it in. Now today, we're using homemade buttermilk. Homemade buttermilk is really easy to do, and in fact, there's a link up here where you can watch my video. I don't think it's more than 2 minutes on how to make your own buttermilk, but trust me, it's a lot easier to mix some lemon juice and some milk or cream than to go buy a whole thing of buttermilk. Next, what we're going to do is dunk our tomatoes in the flour, then into the buttermilk, and then into our breadcrumbs. What we're going to do though with our breadcrumbs before we go too far is add a little Parmesan cheese to them, just to give it a little extra bit of flavor. I love Parmesan. Parmesan and tomatoes go way back. They're great friends. So just mix a little bit of Parmesan in there. And we can do the wet hand, dry hand method. We'll do first. You're going to do flour, the sides too, into the buttermilk, okay, and then into the breadcrumbs. Pat that down, like so. Just turn it over, make sure it's coated really well. Set them aside until we're ready to go, and we'll continue all of our tomatoes. After we fry these, we're gonna make a Parmesan and basil aioli, which will make a lovely dipping sauce to go along with these, because let's face it, Parmesan, garlic, basil, and tomatoes. Best friends. As long as I can remember, best friends. Okay, now we're gonna fry our tomatoes now that they're all ready to go. You wanna be sure not to have the oil too hot, because if the oil is too hot, the outside will burn, but they won't get done. Just like that. Isn't that pretty? And don't overcrowd your pan. We're just gonna put 3 in here at a time. You want the oil, like I said, you don't want your oil to be too hot because it will just burn the outside, but you also don't want it to be so cold that the breading can't stick to it and form a nice crust. So you want to get that oil temperature just right, around 350 to 375 degrees, or just do the good old school test. Put a little pinch of flour in there or a little pinch of breadcrumb and see what happens. And just like that, our tomatoes are done. Look how pretty these are. Nice and golden brown. See why we also didn't want them to be too thick? There. I'm telling you, cast iron just makes you feel like you're cooking in the South. Now to make our aioli, we're gonna start with an egg. We're gonna beat that egg really good. I recommend using either a blender or a hand blender or a food processor. Going to add in about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, something to stabilize it. Then we're going to add in some cheese. I'm using Pecorino Romano cheese, but you can also use Parmesan cheese. Just make sure it's grated. Add in some basil, and then drizzle in your olive oil while you're whipping it. Now that's going to make it really get nice and full and thick. If you want it thicker, add more olive oil. Give it a taste and salt as necessary, and that's it. And here is one of our beautiful fried green tomatoes that we are going to taste. Here's some of that delicious aioli we made up. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on there. Ooh, I'm getting giddy, y'all. Okay, when you cook them like that, you don't even need a knife. You just put that fork right through it. Oh, Lord Jesus, please don't let me burn my mouth from all this. I know. Unbelievable. You know what else I'm going to do, guys? Watch this. I'm going to just another little touch of aioli. Not too much because I don't want to lose the flavor. But I'm going to sprinkle some fresh Parmesan right on top. You know, you get to cooking sometime and the flavors start talking to you. And you just have to respond. That is amazing. All right, y'all. I got some tomatoes. I need to go eat my vegetables. My fried vegetables. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you next time right here on Calibama Cooking.